reading and recording reading video for 11.3 for our Unit 1 test. For this first test, which you'll hear in class again, I won't be allowed to read from a Gemara with Nikudot, just to get everyone ease everyone in. That's not going to be the plan going forward. But for this first one, and I also encourage people to, Merkava is a great resource for preparing. It breaks it up into phrases for you. You can kind of expand full translation, literal translation, translation off. That's what that's what I'm going to be reading from here, just to help, so it's very clear what I'm up to on any given thing. We start here with the Mishnah Lamed Amud Aleph in the Masechah Sanhedrin. With monetary capital cases require probing questions to the witnesses. Shene'emar, as the pasuk says, Mishpat echad yihi alachem, there shall be one law for you, one legal system. The Mishnah asks, Ma bein dinei mamonot l'dinei nefashot? What is the difference between these two categories? Dinei mamonot b'shlosha, monetary case have 3 judges. Dinei nefashot b'esrim b'shlosha, as opposed to 23 judges. Dinei mamonot poshchim bein l'zchut bein l'chova. In monetary cases, either side can go first, both innocent and guilty. Dinei nefashot poshchim l'zchut ve'ein poshchim l'chova. In capital cases, only the innocent side can go first, but not the guilty side. Dinei nefashot matin al pi echad bein l'zchut bein l'chova. In monetary cases, you can decide by a majority of 1 for innocent or for guilty, like 10 to 11 or 11 to 10. But in capital cases, you need a majority of 1 to find someone innocent, but a majority of 2 to find someone guilty. In monetary cases, you can reopen a case whether to find someone innocent or guilty. And in capital cases, you can reopen the case to find someone innocent, but not to find someone guilty. And the next thing that's on our review sheet is the Ran on worksheet 1.4. So when you read the Ran, I will have the same kind of parentheses things that we have here, but we'll read together. The Ran asks, based kind of on the Mishnah's structure and what the Mishnah said, Kevan dichtiv mishpat echad umimenu yalfinan drisha v'chakira dinamano. The pasuk says mishpat echad, and that is our source to apply the concept of drisha v'chakira to monetary cases. So if we have kind of one legal system, neilaf nami mehatam, we should also learn from there. And we should say that all matters that apply in capital cases, that should also apply to monetary cases. They should be identical if there's really mishpat echad. We count 10 things that are different between them in our Mishnah. So is it mishpat echad? It sounds like they should be identical, but we see 10 differences. The Ran answers, yesh l'taritz lamar. This is what we can answer. Dikra de mishpat echad yelachem. That pasuk mishpat echad lo ata ela beikar hadin. It only teaches us about the essentials of a case, the kind of the core concepts. Shu kabbalat edut v'chayotze, like how you accept testimony and similar things. Kind of the backbone, the bread and butter, the Beit Din 101. That's the same. Hainu drisha v'chakira. Drisha v'chakira is an example of something that is ikar hadin, aval han hagat hadayanin, but like the behavior, the customs of the judges. But like in all the details, the way the judges behave and the different rules for how judges should act is not the same. It's more appropriate to be stringent. Like in capital cases, we have to be extra careful. We can't undo it. So that's what accounts for the differences between them, even though we say mishpat echad is only the ikar. Okay, we're going to move down now to the Gemara, Dinei Mamonot, and the Gemara asks, Dinei Mamonot, mi ba'inan drisha v'chakira. In monetary cases, do we really require drisha v'chakira, as the Mishnah had said? We're minhu, we have a contradiction. Shtar shezmano katuv be'echad b'nisan b'shmita. We have the cases, we have a contract that is dated on the 1st of Nisan in the Shemitah year. So Reuven and Shimon sign the contract, and it says Aleph Nisan Riverdale. Now Levi and Shimon come and say, Hey, Reuven and Shimon, how could you testify on this contract? Hello, b'yom ploni, anu hayitem makom ploni. On Aleph Nisan, you were not in Riverdale. On Aleph Nisan, you were with us in Teaneck. Shtar kasher ve'dav ksherin. We still accept the contract, and we say Reuven and Shimon are still valid witnesses. Because we are concerned, we can't say for sure that they forged this contract. Maybe they wrote the contract on a later date. Maybe they saw the loan a few days earlier, and then on Aleph Nisan, is the day they wrote the contract, not the day that they saw the loan happen. So we are concerned that perhaps they delayed and writing it. If you think that monetary cases require probing questions, how is it possible that the judges have to accept the contract because maybe the witnesses wrote it later? The judges should know. It should be very easy. The judges could if the judges aren't sure, they should ask questions. So the fact that the judges have to conclude a case by assuming something means that it must be that the must be that according to this Braita, judges are not asking probing questions. So in our Mishnah, so we do ask probing questions. So that's that's our Uruminu, that's our contradiction. Now we get to our first resolution of this contradiction. Amar Rabbi Chanina, Davar Torah, Achad Dinei Mamonot, V'Achad Dinei Nefashot, B'Drisha V'Chakira. That originally, according to the Torah, both monetary and capital cases required probing questions. As the pasuk had said, that according to the Torah, they should be the same, mishpat echad. And so let's scroll down to the Rashi of Amar Rabbi Chanina. Umatvitin deoraita kame takanta. The Mishnah reflects the deoraita rule before the decree, before the rabbis came and made a decree. Ubraita, the Braita that was quoted as an Uriminu, derabanan, is telling us the derabanan rule, batar takanta. So it's not a contradiction. They're telling us the rule at different time periods. But so then if the rabbis, according to Rabbi Chanina, the rabbis came and got rid of questions in monetary cases. So Rabbi Chanina say, okay, you want to know the reason? What is the reason that the rabbis got rid of probing questions? In order that to not lock the door in the face of borrowers. And you should know and look back to your notes that questions increase the odds that witnesses get disqualified, and so therefore questions increase the odds that lenders don't get their money back, which means they won't lend money in the first place. So that's why they got rid of questions. Elameata, of course, but if that's true, ta'u lo yishalmu. If the judges make a mistake, they shouldn't have to pay. They shouldn't be liable for the mistakes they make. Rashi explains, and we're going to read this Rashi as well. Ta'u beitin b'dinei mamonot. If beitin makes a mistake in monetary cases, lo yishalmu, they shouldn't have to pay. We know the rule as they do, but that rule seems unfair. The dilma, perhaps, ishavkat lehu lidrosh v'lachor. If we allowed them to do probing questions, to do drisha v'chakira, hava rav milta, the matter, milta, hadavar, would be roveach, would be expanded, would become clear, below havu ta'u. They wouldn't have made a mistake. So we're saying, it seems unfair, it seems crazy that we're not letting judges ask questions, but we're also holding them responsible for mistakes they make. If I tie your hands behind your back, I can't exactly penalize you for playing bad defense. So why are we doing that? And we say, kol shakain shatun oldel b'fnei lovin. Kind of, yes, you're right. It is kind of unfair to judges, but getting rid of getting rid of ta'u yishalmu, getting rid of judges paying for mistakes would also discourage lenders. Because at least the lender knows, even if everything goes wrong, my witnesses get whatever, the judges drop the ball in my case, I can get my money back from the judges. And if we get rid of that, lenders won't lend money. Okay, we fast forward now. We keep going. Rava Amar. Rava offers a different interpretation of the Mishnah, of our contradiction between the Mishnah and Braita. Matnitin dahacha b'dinei knasot. Not that the rabbis got rid of questions in every case. Our Mishnah is talking about fines, when you steal something or something like that. So in a case of knas, in a case of fines, you ask questions. But the Braita is talking about chudaot v'halvaot. The Braita is talking about loans. And Rashi explains, Rava Amar, tarvayu batar takanta d'Rabbanan. So unlike Rabbi Chanina, who says the Mishnah is d'Oraita and the Braita is d'Rabbanan, Rava is saying, no, they're both the current rule. Umatnitim b'dinei knasot, delek alamecha shlen ilat delet. Our Mishnah, which says you ask questions, is talking about fines cases because in a theft case, there's no concern. There's no suspicion that people will lock the door in the face of borrowers. A borrower is not, whether or not we ask questions in a theft case is not going to affect the psychology and the motivation of a lender. But the rabbis made a decree only for loans cases, because in loans cases, then we have to get into the whole psychology of lenders. So Rava is saying, Rabbi Chanina, they didn't get rid of, it's not that they got rid of questions in all cases, they got rid of questions only in loans cases. And Rav Papa minimized it even further. It says, actually, they're both talking about loans cases. The Mishnah said some loans cases have questions, some loans cases don't. Our Mishnah, Bedin Meruma, a fraudulent case, which Rashi points out here, Meruma, Beitin Makirin Betovea Zeshahu Ramai. Beitin recognize this Tovea, the person making this claim, is a liar, is a known fraudulent person. Oh, Mivinim Ta'anat Ramai B'Darab. Or maybe the person isn't so fraudulent, but they're making a really suspicious claim. Someone comes and says, this guy borrowed $8 million from me and I would like it back. That's a suspicious claim. So Rav Papa is saying that are kanbedich inamuna. But there, the Braita is dealing with a non-fraudulent case. So according to Rav Papa, the only time we don't ask questions is is a non-fraudulent loans case. Every knas case we ask questions. At any fraudulent case we ask questions. Rabbi Chanina is saying we got rid of questions in every monetary case. Rav Papa is saying we got rid of questions only in a very small subset of monetary cases. Now we're going to fast forward to Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph and jump into Dinei Mamonot Machzirin. The sugya of reopening case. Dinei Mamonot Machzirin. Urminu, we have a contradiction. Our Mishnah had said we reopen cases even when we realize we get the verdict wrong. This Mishnah, Masechah Bechorot, Dana Tadin, if a judgment is made, Zikata Chayav, and you found the innocent guilty, Chayav Tazakai, you found guilty the innocent, Timei Tatahor, you found pure the impure, Tiher Tatame, you purified that, you found impure what was pure. Basically, the judge messed up. Masha Asa Asui, what's done is done, the Yishalemi Beito, and the judge pays from their own pocket, meaning what's done is done. The verdict is sealed. We don't say reopen the case and get it right. So do we machzirin, do we reopen, or do we say Masha Asa Asui? Amar Rav Yosef, so tries to solve our contradiction. Lo kasha, kan b'mumche, kan b'she'eno mumche. We're going to go with Rashi's approach here, which we're going to read as well. So we saw the Ran and the Rif, but we're going to go with Rashi. Kan b'she'eno. So this, our Mishnah, is talking about a mumche, an expert judge. The mumche yeshbo koach lachzor. A expert judge has the power, has the ability to kind of recant and retract his case. V'lo mati lamemar le ba'aldin, and the ba'aldin, the litigant, won't be able to say to him, "Ana kitama kama didachatina." I choose to go by your first. Kama means first. Tama means reason or argument. So if it's an expert, if Rabbi Hartstark issues a decision and then wants to withdraw, you can't say, "Oh, I choose to follow your first one. I trust your first one." It's Rabbi Hartstark. He knows what's going on, and we trust him. He kind of has the authority for us to believe him that he wants to reopen it. Aval b'she'eno mumche, a non-expert, matzi amarle, the litigant who's now getting messed up and who won before but now is going to lose, he can say, "Mi emar d'tama batari dach ikar." Who says your later argument is correct? Ikar is the real one. Dilma kama ikar. Maybe you were right the first time, uvahai hutain, and now you're making a mistake. So a non-expert kind of is locked into their decision because they don't have enough authority, they don't have the koach to be trusted to reopen. So Rav Yossi says our Mishnah is talking about an expert judge, kan b'she'eno mumche, and the Breita, which says, this other Mishnah in Bechorot, which says it's what's done is done, is talking about a non-expert. And then we fast forward a few lines. Rav Sheshet offers a different explanation. Rav Sheshet Amar, kan shta abidvar Mishnah. Actually, it's not about who the judge is to resolve this contradiction. It's about what type of mistake are you making. Kan shita b'dvar Mishnah. This one is talking about you made a mistake in the words of the Mishnah. Kan shita b'shikul hadad. And the Mishnah Masechet Bechorot is talking about where you make a mistake in weighing knowledge, weighing an opinion. Da'amar Rav Sheshet Amar Rav Asi, and Rav Sheshet quotes Rav Asi. Ta'a b'dvar Mishnah chozer. If you make a mistake in the words of the Mishnah, you literally you go against an explicit Mishnah, which I'm not going to read Rashi inside, but Rashi had said, "Eino din lagamre." If you go against the words of the Mishnah, your verdict is worthless. Then you go back because the verse verdict is meaningless. Tav shikul hadat eino chozer. But if you make a mistake in weighing knowledge, you do not return. And now we try to figure out what exactly is to'ev dvar Mishnah. Amar le Ravino Ravashi, afilu tar Rabbi Chia Rabbi Yoshia. Is it considered in that same category if you make a mistake in the words of Rabbi Chia Rabbi Yoshia, meaning a teaching in the Tosefta? If a judge contradicts the Tosefta, is that also considered an explicit mistake? Amar le Rav Asi says, yes. Afilu with Rav Shmuel, even Rav and Shmuel, even if you make it, what if I contradict a ruling that's found by the early Amoraim? Amar le Rav Asi says, yeah. That's also an explicit mistake. Afilu b'didi v'didach. What about someone contradicts our rulings, like the later Amoraim? Amar le, he responds to him, Atu anan katle kani ba'agwa anan, are we reed cutters in the lake? He has here in the marsh, you think we're like nobodies? We're the sages of the generation, and our rulings are binding. And if a judge ignores it, their verdict is meaningless. So we've defined what it means to be to'eh b'dvar Mishnah, but heichi dami shikul hadad. What does it mean to make a mistake in weighing knowledge or in weighing an opinion? Amar Rav Papa says, "Kigon trei tanae o trei amorei depligi ahadade." So imagine there's a halacha where there's a machloket. It's a machloket tanaim or a machloket amoraim that they argue with each other. V'lo itmar hilchata lo kimar v'lo kamar. There's not an explicit ruling that says we follow this opinion or that opinion. So there's a machloket about this topic. And so the judge chooses Rabbi X to rule by. But the consensus, the common knowledge, the way that the sugya implies, it goes like the other one. So again, you didn't contradict an explicit ruling, but you didn't follow the common knowledge of how we paskin. Hainu shikul hadad. That is how you make a mistake in shikul hadad, and that is going to be our first unit reading video. Good luck, everyone.